What's going on, everybody? Pop Principal here with another Funko Pop review, and today we have Jubilee continuing the X-Men 97 Funko reviews, Wave 2, Jubilee. We have seen her previously in the Walgreens exclusive, which was a pretty cool pop. I do have that on hand, so be on the lookout for a comparison shot. If you're not familiar with Jubilee, I believe she was initially debuted in the original X-Men show. That was kind of who the series was kind of centered around to a degree. She had a major role throughout the series, and I feel like she became a somewhat beloved character in my generation, the kids who grew up in the 90s watching this show. I know she's being a relatively new character. She doesn't have the Gen X and boomers per se, but definitely millennials and on. I would say should be a regular that we all grew up with and accustomed to. So she was featured in X-Men 97. Obviously, they do have a chase of this pop. It was underwhelming, pretty much the exact same pop, just a different facial expression and a few different changes as far as the costume or the design is concerned, but that was it. Much rather, should have had different chases for different characters, or just giving us different characters altogether instead of two chases. I just like anyway. But yeah, this is a pretty cool pop. I do like it. The overall design, I think is pretty interesting. Just in the show, we got to see a older version of her that was pretty cool. So wish we could have had that pop, but can't get them all. So with that being said, let's get right into a outer box look. And here we have an outer box look at Jubilee. Now you can see the classic yellow coat kind of swaying in the wind. You do see some shading and shadowing from how it was a bit of a stylized show, so they kind of implemented that with some of the shading they put in the character. Her power effects are in these translucent, what would you call them, balls, I guess you could say. The shades are pretty cool. I like how the shading on the shades looks, I guess would be the right word. It definitely gives that retro 90s look. And yeah, this is a very dope looking pop. I'm glad to have her. I feel like if for any of the X-Men shows, you got to have Jubilee in the mix as far as whatever collectible you were into. She has to be one of them, I feel like, just because she was debuted in the original series and typically has a somewhat significant role throughout the show. So thought that was dope. And to get an upgraded version of some of these characters is upgraded, but it's still retro. So you kind of want to get all the characters like that, especially the household characters, even if you're not a huge Jubilee fan, like the Gambit, Magneto, Charles, which, come on, we got to have a Charles with the, it slips me where what the alien world he was on, forgive me, but that version with him in the armor would be crazy. I don't know why they didn't do that, but Jubilee nonetheless is pretty dope. I enjoyed the character in her storyline with Sunspot. I thought that was pretty cool. So with that being said, let's get into some comparison shots. And here we have some comparison shots of Jubilee. If you remember the original X-Men 90s show, you can see that it's a pretty drastic difference in uniform, but some of those same quintessential characteristics or looks are still there, like the jacket and the shades, and obviously the powers. The powers in the updated version, I think, well, her powers aren't really that over, like they don't blow your mind or anything like that. They're pretty simple powers. So however they're displayed is cool. I like both of them. I'm glad I have each pop in the collection, but as you can see, there's a difference. So if you are interested, definitely grabber, and if you rather wait until the price drops, I would do that too. Just give it time. Price will probably catch this one under 10 for sure at some point. And with that being said, let's get into the final comparison shot. And here we have the final comparison shot of Wave 2 from X-Men 97. Like I've said throughout these throughout these Wave 2 reviews, I definitely like all these pops. They're dope. I still want more. Like, hopefully we get more. I probably said this. If you've seen all these videos, I've said the same thing. So if you are interested, they are available at pretty much most Funko retailers. So go check them out and get them if you are interested. And with that being said, like, subscribe, tune in, be on the lookout for the next video. Pop Principal out.